All right, let's get right into it. We're going to break down one of those classic GCSE physics questions. You know the ones. They can really trip you up if you're not ready for them. We're talking about the electric motor, and more specifically, how you can lock in all 4 marks on a really tricky explanation question.
So here it is, question 10.3, straight from a past paper. You can see the diagram of a pretty standard electric motor, and the question is simple. Explain why the coil rotates continuously. It seems straightforward, right? But believe me, those 4 marks are looking for 4 very, very specific ideas.
So that's our game plan. We're going to break this question down step by step and focus on the 4 key ideas you absolutely need to have in your answer to guarantee you get full credit. Let's do it.
Okay, first things first. To get anything spinning, you need a force. It's that simple. So our first mark is all about figuring out where that initial force actually comes from.
Just take a look at the diagram. We've got a current, and it's flowing through that coil of wire. Now, the absolutely crucial part is that the sides of that coil are sitting smack dab in the middle of a magnetic field, right between the north and south poles. And that right there, a current inside a magnetic field, that's the magic combination.
And boom, here's the exact wording for your first mark. You have to state that the sides of the coil experience a force. And here's a pro tip to really nail it. Mention that these forces are in opposite directions. So one side gets a push-up and the other gets a push-down.
So we've got this push-up on one side and a push-down on the other. What happens next? Well, that leads us directly to our second mark, which is all about the turning effect.
Now, when you have 2 opposite forces acting on something like a coil, they don't just cancel each other out. No way. They actually work together to make it spin around a central point. In physics, we've got a name for that turning effect. We call it a moment, and that's what kicks off the rotation.
And here is exactly what the examiners are looking for to award that second mark. The key is to connect the dots between the forces and the spinning. You can just say that the forces cause the coil to rotate, or if you want to sound a bit more technical, you can say they create moments which then cause the rotation. Either one gets you the mark.
Okay, we're halfway there. Marks 1 and 2 get the coil to start turning. But the question specifically asks why it rotates continuously. This is where the last 2 marks are, and honestly, this is where a lot of people lose them. So let's see how this all comes together.
The secret to keeping it spinning, the real hero of this story, is this little gadget right here, the split ring commutator. This thing is the absolute key to making the motor go round and round in the same direction, instead of just, flopping back and forth.
So what does it actually do? Well, its job is brilliant, and it's simple. Every single time the coil does a half spin, the split ring commutator reverses the direction of the current flowing through it. That little trick is the secret to continuous motion.
And here's how you bag marks 3 and 4. For the third mark, you explain the how. Every half turn, the 2 halves of the commutator swap which carbon brush they're touching. Simple. For the fourth and final mark, you explain the why. This action reverses the current in the coil, and that cleverly keeps the forces pushing the coil around and around in the same direction.
All right, we've broken it all down. We've got our 4 key points. So now let's put it all together into one perfect, concise 4-mark answer.
And here it is, one clear point for each mark you need. First, you've got the opposite forces on the sides of the coil. Second, these forces create a moment which causes the rotation. Third, the commutator swaps contact with the brushes every half turn. And fourth, this reverses the current, making sure the rotation is continuous and in one direction. That's it, a full marks answer, right there.
So there you have it. You now know the 4 essential building blocks for a perfect answer. But, the real test is whether you can connect these ideas yourself when you're under pressure in an exam. So why not pause for a second and try to write out the full explanation in your own words. See if you can hit all 4 of those key points. Go on, give it a shot.